Her Opinion Show, the podcast you didn't know you needed. Real talk, bold truth, her voice, her vision, her rules. Let's get into it.
This week, we sit down with the woman who keeps those wild guests in line, the segment spicy, and culture front and center. Thank you for being here, Ana Noboa.
Noboa. Yeah, thank you for having me, guys.
Yes, so we get to see you now sitting with us on our show, but normally I'm sitting at your show and you're behind the scenes directing, producing, and telling Carolina what to do.
Yeah, I'm in the control room, usually controlling the madness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're in her ear constantly.
I am the schizophrenia.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's like, is that me or am I thinking out loud?
Right. I just start talking to, random person.
Yeah.
And people are like, who are you talking to?
I know. And it's funny because when we've been on there and they're talking, I'm like, who are they talking
Who is
to?
she talking to?
Yeah.
It's crazy. No, it's not crazy. It's me.
It's me.
I know.
No, but then I'm like, oh boy, we're going to have to record that again.
No.
But I'm sure you have so much fun and I'm sure that you love to do it.
I do. And it's actually, I came from a news background. I was a news producer for many years. So it was fun to jump from news to something a little more lighthearted.
Oh, yeah.
This is a taped show, so we have more time to give it love and to prepare and to find guests. Whereas with news, is you go in there, you cover the news of the day, you stress out the whole time, and then you go home and do it again the next day. So this is a little different. It's fun. I have a good time with it.
And you've been doing the show?
So this show, I've been on the show for almost 2 years. I got here to Houston I got to Houston 2 years ago, but I jumped on the show in September of 2023. So it's been 2 years that I've been with the show now.
What made you come to the Nightcap?
So I moved to Houston because of my husband. Mm-hmm. At the time, he was my fiance. We hadn't gotten engaged yet. We were together. But we were deployed. We were in the military, so we were deployed together. And I was living in Florida at the time. I worked at NBC over there. And he was from, Houston. And when we met, somebody's got to make a change. And I'm not going to move him over there because he has a daughter. So there's no way I'm going to separate that. And I was like, you know what? And I just need to move from South Florida I need a change. So I moved over here. I didn't have a job yet. I was looking around. And then I applied to all the news stations. And they were all interested in me. But the Nightcap had a different show. And I was like, oh. That's the one. Mm-hmm. So the timing was perfect. Ooh,
so do you like working in that kind of environment with the Nightcap over working with the strict news?
Yes. So, the thing about news, I'm so glad I did it. It was a very good experience. And sometimes I miss the adrenaline of the breaking news, being in the control room when things are going crazy and you have to, adjust in the nick of time. That is fun. I don't miss the everyday, the grind and the fighting with, the EPs because their vision is different than yours. And I don't miss that.
Probably the waking up super early.
Well, yeah, I did work overnight shift for a while because I was a 5 a.m. producer in Miami, in NBC Miami. And it was a few years. And that is hard because you have to be at work at 11 p.m. at night. And you get off of work at 8 in the morning. So it's a vampire schedule, and that's not normal for anybody. So it's very hard. You have to be very disciplined because, you still have to be healthy. You have to work out. You have to eat well. And then you have to be up all night. So that was hard. So with this, it's I feel like I finally got a job and something that I can do that is fun and that I can take care of myself at the same time. I can go home and forget about the news of the day, even though that as a news, it will never go away. I always have to be connected, but I don't have to live it anymore. So that's fun. I like that, the freedom of the show. So it's different.
Midday, you maybe you don't avoid the traffic when you're going home.
Well, when I go home, no, not so much. Well, sometimes depends. It's a good day, but going to work, I have to be there at 11 a.m. I miss the morning traffic, so that's fun.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of pluses. I'm very grateful that this job actually found me. I didn't find it, which is really weird. But
so we wanted to have you on the show because 1, we love you, but 2, we love to see Latinas, in the news, in media, doing their thing. And especially when you're behind the scenes, because you don't get to be in the camera that much. And some don't want to be. So we're throwing you here. We're throwing you here in front of the camera.
I'm not against it. It's just not what I do.
Is it your first time? Or
I've done podcasts before, but not in this format. I did a podcast with the military when I was deployed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we want to go back to before news.
Before news. Woo.
Yes. How you got to news. But before all that,
it's a long story.
Yeah. Okay. Give us the short version.
Back in 1983. No. So I fresh out of high school, I joined the military. So I might have to go a little more back. my stepfather was a diplomat, so we traveled around from country to country every 2 to 3 years. I graduated high school in Morocco, and when I graduated high school, I wanted to continue to travel and continue to be from going around places, meeting new people, and everything. And actually, what I really wanted to do in my life was go to New York and sing in Broadway. Like that was my dream. I know, super random. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And
so you sing?
I used to sing a lot. I was in a band when I was cover band with my friends in Korea when I was stationed there.
A cover band?
A cover band, just for fun.
That's fun.
And in high school, I was in all the honors choirs and everything.
Did you have a name?
The band?
Yeah.
48 Hour Nebula. Yeah.
Okay. 48 Hour Nebula. Okay.
But it wasn't like we were doing covers. We were singing at bars and doing fun things. It was just for fun. Obviously in high school, like all the singing, all the honors choirs and the travels for that. But so I graduated. I wanted to do that. My parents are they're more rational. Mm-hmm. So they're like, no, hell no. That's happening.
You're not gonna make any money.
No. Hey. And my mom's Latina. She's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No. And she
we know.
We know. And I have 2 sisters, and she always instilled in us this thing where she's like, make sure you can take care of yourself. Have something that you can do for yourself, so you don't have to rely on anybody. And if you find somebody who has awesome,
that's a plus.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
but you take care of you. So yeah. So I graduated high school, and college was not an option for me because in high school I did just enough to graduate because I was too busy partying, to be honest.
I know that.
I was.
That's right.
I excelled in the things that I liked. Like I liked writing and I liked music, but the math not so much.
Yeah.
So college was not an option, and my parents knew that if I went to college straight up, I would just party my way out of it, and they were right because I was a wild child. So my mom started like inceptioning me into joining the military. Believe it or not, it was her doing. Okay. She's like, why don't you go talk to that recruiter? One of them all. Go talk to the recruiter. Let's just talk to him, see what he has to say. I'm like, Mom, I'm not going to join the military. Stop it. She's like, just go talk to him. So I did. And of course, I'm 18. Actually, I was still 17 years old because I graduated when I was 17. And of course, the recruiters are really good about building this thing. Oh, we're going to pay for your college and you're going to travel the world and blah, blah, blah. You're going to learn new skills. I'm like, I'm in. Let's do it. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to join the Air Force. And she's like, yay. Super, super happy. Yeah. A week later, 9/11. And we're in Washington, D.C. at this time. So, of course, we're seeing fire from the Pentagon. And my mom is freaking out now, And she tells my dad, like, oh, my God, my stepdad, but I called him Dad. We're going to send her to war. Like, what have I done? This is all my fault. Yeah. And my dad, he was Navy for 20 years. And he told her, no, that's not how it works. Don't worry. Like, she's going to be, my job in the military was going to be air traffic control. And that's what it was. And he's like, she's going to be in a control tower on the radar. She's not going to be she's not infantry. She's not army. Don't worry. She's going to be fine. So anyway, long story short, a couple months later, I was on my way to boot camp. So yeah, I did my 6 years in the military. My first station was in Enid, Oklahoma, in the middle of nowhere, USA. And I was thinking, I'm going to be in Japan. I'm going to be in Germany. I'm going to be traveling. Yeah. No. I was in Oklahoma for 4 years. Nothing wrong with Oklahoma, but for somebody,
Oklahoma has the earthquakes or the tornadoes.
Yeah. So this base that I went
sirens.
to, the sirens. But the base that I went to was a pilot training base, and it was also an air traffic controller training base. So I trained there. I became a controller, and it was a really good experience. But it was Oklahoma.
Yeah, and you're like, do I want to do this for the rest of my life?
And from somebody who just grew up all over the place, having to come to this little town in the middle of nowhere.
But you didn't want to like do a transfer after the 4?
I did. I did. And everybody tries to get out of there. The problem is with ATC, with air traffic control, the training is so grueling and so long that people are training for almost 3 years to get completely certified. So I couldn't go anywhere until I was completely trained. So finally, I got trained up and I got orders to Korea, which was awesome. I loved Korea. I had an amazing time. I stayed 2 years there, and it was so an amazing experience. Yeah. And I was still very young. I was like early 20s. So people going through the college experience, my college experience was Korea. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And anybody who's in the military knows that Korea is a college, is a college experience, if you will. So then my enlistment ended when I was there. So I did my 6 years. For me, it was 6 years. And then I decided I'm just going to go to school, use my GI Bill, and do something that I was kind of interested in for a while. I was like, you know what? I really like journalism. If I'm not going to sing in Broadway, let me go do something useful with my life. Journalism always caught my attention. So I started going to school for broadcasting and journalism. That was my AA. And then when I went to get my bachelor's, people started getting in my head to be like, journalism, like there's not really a lot of money there. Like maybe go to PR because PR is still mass communication. I was like, PR, okay. So I went to school for PR at FIU in Miami, and my minor was international relations because I was thinking, PR, international relations, I can travel with different companies around the world. I'm still thinking of like, I'm going to travel the world, right? Because I love that. But while I was going to school, I ended up doing my internship at NBC in Telemundo in Miami. They're sister stations. And I became a production assistant in Telemundo. And funny enough, I didn't study journalism, but I ended up doing their journalism through practice.
Yeah.
So I was an intern, and then as soon as the position opened up after my internship, I was lucky enough to be there, and they already knew me, they knew my work ethic, and I got hired in Telemundo. So I was in Telemundo for about a year, and then I transitioned over to NBC, the English side of the house, which was just moving from one desk to the other because it's in the same building.
Right.
And with NBC, I became a news producer, and I did that for 7 years. Yeah, for a while. And then I got orders. Oh, I have to go back. While I came back to when I was at NBC working as a producer, I still felt like something was missing in my life. Like I missed the military. And it's weird to say, and I'm sure people are like, why? And the reason is because I left the military when I was still very young. I was 23 years old when I left the military. 23, very young. But I joined very young too. In fact, I was 17. My mom had to sign the paperwork saying she can join the military. So to me, I grew up with the military. It was normal. It was a constant in my life. So when I was working at NBC, I was like, you know what? I really miss the structure of the military. I miss the camaraderie because it's hard to explain to anybody. The friendships and the community you feel with military members as a military member is very different from any other job. And like I said, like my team now, for example, I love them. We have a great team. We all get along. We worked well together. But there's something different from being at my home station with my team, military team, than being in my civilian job.
That's like, like they say, the brotherhood. Yeah, because like no matter what happens, like we have to watch each other's backs. Like we don't have to be all best friends. Mm-hmm. But if you don't do your job, you put me in danger, you put the mission in danger, you put everybody in danger. So it's so important, and it feels like that was the one thing that was missing for me. I'm like, I need that back in my life. So I came back to the military as a reservist, which I don't know if you guys know the difference. Active duty is like you do your job every day. A reservist and guard, you serve 1 week in a month and 2 weeks a year, and you have the occasional deployment. Okay, so I came back to the military as a reservist, and I was serving my week in a month and my 2 weeks a year. And then about 3 years ago, I got orders to deploy. So deployments are 6 months long. This one was overseas. It was in Southeast Asia, the Middle East. So, okay, I packed up and went. NBC had to hold my job for me because by law they have to do that. So I went on deployment, and I met my now husband over there. Yeah, so we met over there, and it was meant for you to go.
It was meant for me to go. So it's funny because you say that because if we in a regular world, like if I had worked in my job in NBC and he had been here doing what he was doing, we would have never met because we live in different worlds. Yeah. We walk in different paths of life. Like our paths would have never crossed. They crossed because we were deployed together. So
he was also in the
He's
Air
in the
Force.
military. He's in the Air Force, but he is guard. So I'm reserving his guard. He's guard for Texas Guard, and I was reserve, which is a federal assignment. So we got together, and then deployment ended, and it was very sad. And then we decided, what are we going to do? So we knew we wanted to be together. So I started.
He was from Houston.
He was actually born in Lake City, but he's from the area, And I started like, okay, so I was in the process of getting my master's degree. So I was like, okay, I can't go anywhere until I'm done with my master's. I still have, like a few more semesters. So I told him, if we want to continue this, let's do it. But I have to finish school. And I will move there, but I have to finish school. So he's like, yeah, no problem. So we did the long distance thing. He will come see me in Florida. I will come see him here. Like it was a back and forth thing. He got all the orders to go to the border. So sometimes I would go to Brownsville and see him. And it was a mess. Like we were
it was better than Oklahoma.
It was better than Oklahoma. But it was a mess trying to like see each other. Okay, next week I can go on the weekend, but can you come here? Like it was a whole thing. So finally, I got my master's degree. I started looking for jobs in the Houston area. I had a lot of contacts in Miami, in Telemundo, that were helping me out find contacts here. Like, oh, I know so-and-so who works in Telemundo Houston, and they, they made some calls for me, and people were helping me out, and I loved it. They were so great. But then I applied to some places, and they all called me back. And KHOU actually offered me a position for the morning newscast. I was like 5 a.m. I was like, okay, I've done that before. I don't want to do that schedule, but I need a job when I get there. And then I also applied for Fox Morning News, but I got a call back from Dart, the EP of, the GM of Fox. And he was like, well, you know what? You've done news, but you've also done entertainment, because I did that entertainment show in Miami. So why don't you consider this show? It's called The Nightcap. He told me about it. We talk about sex, relationships, lifestyles. And I was like, oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, let's hear about this. And the fact that he himself called me and he wanted to interview me personally, it's not normal for a GM to interview somebody. I was like, okay, so he's seen my resume and he thinks I can do this, and let's hear some more. And so he sold it to me like it was the best thing. And he was right. That it was new, was different. It was something I hadn't done before. And I was like, you know what, let's do it. I don't want to do the grind of news anymore. And this is like, it literally dropped into my lap.
Very interesting too.
And right on time, because I'm about to move to Houston. I didn't have a job yet. Like, we were closing on a house and I didn't have a job yet. And like this whole thing. And they were paying me decent money. And, so I was like, okay, let's do it. So, and that's how I ended up working with the Nightcap. I'm still in the military. I'm still reserves. So once a month, I go back to Florida to do my commitment. And I do my 2 weeks a year. In fact, I'm going to do my 2 weeks in a couple of weeks. I'm going to go back to Florida and be there for a little bit and do some training.
Well, and then that's good too, because you get to go back to Florida. Is your family there?
So my sisters are there. My mom used to live there. After my stepfather passed away, she moved to Florida. And my mom, she bounces around too. We lived in Florida, and then I moved here. My sisters are still there, but my mom decided to sell her house in Florida and move here next to me. So now my mom lives here, which worked out perfect for her, because in Florida, I don't know if you guys know this, super expensive. The houses there are like ridiculous. So she was able to sell her house for half the price of what she got. So basically, she sold her house here and bought one cash here and still have money.
That's
So,
why a lot of people, I don't understand the whole, when you retire to go to Florida. And then
not anymore. I mean, the weather's great. Like, don't get me wrong, I do love Florida and I love the weather. I love the proximity to my culture, to the Colombians. I love that. I love the beach, because no offense, Galveston, it ain't it.
We know. We're from here and we know. We don't want to go to Galveston.
No offense. But yeah, so I miss that, but I also don't miss, like, everything is so expensive, like I could never have bought a house there. I bought a house here, so okay, Florida, how comes?
And you get a lot more for your money here.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, and then it made sense for my mom, she's already at retirement age. She didn't want to pay mortgage anymore, and she's like, I'm just going to buy a nice little house in Texas, chill. And that's what she did. So she's here now.
So as a producer, like, what do you do? So what's the difference between news? Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure you do everything, but like we're always interested behind the scenes. Like, we see the show, but we don't know everything that comes to life behind the scenes for it to be what we see.
So if you think about the show, is kind of like the headquarters of the show. Okay, so my job as a producer is to find guests, to book guests, to find elements for the show, to find topics for the show. If there's videos that could complement the show, find those videos. Whenever we do tape, I want to make sure that my episode is to time, because we still have to use broadcast. We have a limitation of time. So I look at the show and I make the edits that I want, but I'm not an editor by trade. So I give the rest to my editor to complete. He has to, put the graphics and make sure the transitions are clean and all that. So I do a little bit of everything. Like I said, booking is the main thing for this show, because we have to find the correct guests for the correct shows. And that's hard in this specific show, because in this show, we want to talk to people who are like everyday people, not the artists or the.
Yeah, so people can really identify themselves.
So it's relatable, because, for example, in the show that I did in South Florida, the entertainment show, that was a live show, it was so easy to book guests, because everybody wanted to be in the show. Like all the, people who are promoting a book, promoting an alcohol, promoting something, they're all pitching me stories. So I'm like, oh, that's easy. I can book these people and I have a show. For this one, I have to dig in and look for the right people. And sometimes, since these are people who have jobs, their job is not to come to my show. Their job is to go do whatever they do. And then if they have time to come to my show, sometimes I get last minute cancellations. And that's the hardest part, because I have this whole thing set up and ready to go. And they're like, oh, I can't make it. So I'm like, okay, now I have to find a last minute. So and you guys have gotten my text. And I'm like, okay, I'm freaking out. I have guess who just dropped.
My text to you, fresh meat. I got fresh meat for you.
I'm trying to think, and then we're trying to think of all our friends. Do they fit this? Right. And would they, think that I'm judging them because I feel like they fit
and that's another thing too, because since the topics are a little spicy, I'm like, how do I word this invitation to come to the show and talk about this topic without offending them? Because, well, first of all, I don't offend them. Like, I'm not judging anybody. If you like what you like, it is what it is. But I have a topic. I have a topic that you will be great for, and I don't want you to think that we're like
thinking
down on you. No, we're like, oh, you can talk about this because you have experienced it. Ooh.
If anything, don't
worry about it.
We want them. We want them.
Right. We exactly. Like, I want you to talk about this. Like, and not to mention, like, as a deep down in my heart, I'm still a journalist.
Yeah.
Like, Carolina will probably tell you the same thing. Deep down, we're still journalists, and we still want to educate. Yeah, we want to entertain you because the show is fun, but we want to be able to tell people, like, hey, this is normal. This is happening in the world. Like, you're not the only one. There might be somebody who's speaking to you at home, or of course at home, and you realize that person in the couch is like, oh, that happened to me too. Like, it's not, I'm not crazy.
The only one.
I'm not the only one. So to me, that's important to bring people to make other people at home feel like they're heard. And yes, you're not the only person who has experienced that. It happens.
So, okay. Now that, we know Nightcap's crazy. We know that, like, there's some of those topics just go off the deep end.
It does. It
does. People like that. It entertains them. They
like to hear other people's stories.
Yes.
They do. Yes.
But when you're doing the Nightcap and stuff like that, do you feel like sometimes some people may, like, it's not as organic as it should be, or some people start to be more entertaining?
So we do know that some people, they may want to pretend like there's something they're not, to give that
impression.
Impression. And at that point, it's like, well, this is a different show now. And sometimes you can't win them all. Sometimes we have great shows, and we have great guests, and the conversation is fantastic. And sometimes it's not, and it is what it is. Like, I have to make peace with the fact that maybe the show was not so good. But you know what? Move on to the next one. Now I know that this guest may not be so good for this topic, but maybe for something else. But it's because I don't know them. Like, you live and you learn, right?
Yeah.
So, like, okay, now that I know this guest, they're fitted for X, Y, and Z, but not for D.
Well, I think that y'all do a great job, though, because I really do like how y'all, have, sometimes there's a singer, sometimes it's a bar. Anytime y'all invite me and there's food, I'm happy. I'm happy.
I know, exactly.
But I gotta know, because there's gotta be like a wild moment, or what's the craziest thing that's ever happened since you've been on that show?
I mean, I should write these down because there's so many.
But your top
the main one that you stands out,
forget.
Or that you were like, oh my God.
So a lot happened before I joined the show that I keep hearing about, how like a burlesque dancer got on top of the bar, and the bar is scratched now because of that. Which, whatever, no one can tell that. I can't even tell that. But I think sometimes the conversations that you don't expect. Like, you don't expect somebody to say the things that they said, right? Like, you have somebody who's really wholesome, they look really wholesome and cutesy, and then all of a sudden something comes out of their mouth about the time they had anal sex, and I was like, oh, okay, so you're a freak in the sheets. Got it. So yeah, sometimes like people will surprise you because you don't, it's really easy to judge a book by a cover, and then you see them and they're not the person that you think they are at all. So it's really interesting, and it really teaches you a lesson on learning who people are, because you never know like the real story behind them.
Is there any time that you have to like cut something out? You're like, oh, this is too risque.
Yes and no. Sometimes I want things to be risque because that's the whole point. We live in 30. We're allowed to be, right? If I ever cut something out, it may be because
it didn't go with the theme, or
it didn't go with the theme, or it
could offend somebody.
Not offending somebody, not so much, because
she's like, I'm okay with that.
That's what they said, right? Unless that person specifically says, hey, you know what? That's not what I meant. Do you mind if you cut that out? And if it was news, I wouldn't, because you said it. Yeah. But this is a show. It's lighthearted. It's a little more, I'm not going to do that to you. Your reputation could be at stake. So I won't do that. But yeah, sometimes I just cut things. If, say, people repeat themselves, sometimes we'll cut that out. Or the conversation goes off the rails. Or sometimes it's just not good. you know. And a lot of times I let people talk.
Or it's
until I
boring.
Get something good.
It's boring.
It's boring. We'll let them talk. Like maybe they'll come up with something in the next blog. So I let them talk until something good comes out. Because sometimes it happens that people
Have you been in her ear and Carolina's ear and been like, change the subject?
Yeah, subject.
Oh, all the time. Or I change the subject, or like, hey, ask them this instead of that. So that way we can veer the conversation somewhere else. Or like I noticed something that maybe she at the moment didn't. And they're like, oh, I heard that back then. Ask her that. So yeah.
Do you, when you are in her ear, are you constantly talking, or are you?
No,
just,
I mean not all the time. Like
Okay.
I need to let her listen to the conversation.
Yeah.
If I'm in the ear all the time, she's gonna be like, shut the fuck up. You know? And
Yeah.
so I basically chime in when there's a pause or when somebody else is talking and be like, hey, now that they're talking.
Yeah.
And she's a very seasoned interviewer, so she's able to listen to me and listen to the interview at the same time. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be like, blah, 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 the whole time. You know.
Oh yeah.
No,
Yeah, she's great.
I timed exactly when I need to talk to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think the dynamic of all you guys, love Phil over there, love everybody. Shout out to Phil. Everybody's great. But if you had any advice out there to any women or young girls thinking about going into military or the news,
Broadcasting,
journalism,
whatever.
what would you tell them?
So for journalism, since I do that now, I love being a journalist. It's a hard time to be a journalist. So just know that. If you're going to focus on news, because we're not blind, we know what's happening. So go in there with that mindset, knowing that it's going to be difficult, but persevere. If you really want this, do it. Just know that it's not all glitz and glamour. In fact, when I was an intern, the first time I walked into a newsroom, I was like, oh my God, amazing. But now I'm like, oh, this place. You know? So because it will take a toll out of you. So yeah, my main goal is if that's what you really want to do, just know that you're going to have to go through
Work
some hard
really hard.
with anything, really. And know that right now in the time that we're living, it's important because we need to give information out that's factual. Stick with the facts. But you're going to have to fight some people. But otherwise, that part is great. Military-wise, I had a really good military experience. So I'm not going to say everything was perfect. Of course, as a woman in the military, I did encounter the sexual harassment. I did encounter some of the drawbacks of, oh, well, you're a woman. So I did have to fight to prove myself. And I hate that I have to say that. Because we don't want to, we want to be, look at it for merit, but we do have to fight to prove ourselves sometimes. I had a good experience in the fact that I had a good team. I always had a good team. My supervisors have always they've always had my back. I learned some amazing skills. Like, I was an air traffic controller, guys. Like,
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't continue to do it because it was not my passion, but I can do that. So when I hear the stories about ATC now, I'm like, I understand.
Yeah.
I've been all over the world with the military. I've traveled and I've met some amazing people. I went to school. My GI Bill covered my bachelor's, The master's is a different story. But still, I was able to go out there with skills. I bought a house for my VA. So there's so many different things that I think were good with the military. As a woman in the military, it can be hard. But again, that's up to you and how you take it and how you go through that hurdle. Yeah. How you persevere.
Well, we love that. And
Yes. We
I
love
think that we have to have you back just to talk about the military.
Yeah.
I got stories.
That would be
Well,
good
we
because
didn't even expect it.
Yeah.
We
Now
had
you
no
know.
idea.
so now I think that's a good
That
topic.
over there as a producer.
You have to be militant because otherwise people will walk all over you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, don't mess with her at the Nightcap. But Anna, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you
Thank
for
you.
coming
Yeah.
over here.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you on the other side.
Yes, for sure.
And anybody who wants to be on my show,
Yes.
we have to know, first of all, your age, relationships, your sexual orientation. I'm not being nosy. I'm just trying to match you with the right team, right show.
Yeah.
And if you're going to pitch to my show, remember what show you're pitching to. Don't talk about finances or, something that's really boring and newsy. No, we're a spicy show.
Yes.
Unless there's something spicy in that.
Yeah.
That
Yes. Yes. How do you pitch it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how you pitch it.
How you pitch
Exactly.
it.
That's
know
right.
what show you're pitching to.
Exactly.
Exactly. And pitch yourself. Don't just say, hi, I want to be on the show.
No, exactly. No. Why? Who are you? Tell me
Yeah.
more. What's your story?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you again. It was,
Yes.
let's cheers it out.
Yay. Thank you,
Happy
guys.
to have you on. Until next time. Bye. See
Next
you guys
time,
later.
bye.